Max Nation, I'm Ungar to the Max, coming at you with today's episode of the Sports Room Talk Show. A salute to you. We are about 20 minutes away from kickoff of Week 8 of the 2025 season, but before we get there, I want to go over my top 10 teams heading into today's action, as well as my top 5 games to watch as we get set for kickoff. So, being that we are about 20 minutes from kickoff, as I just said, I want to start with my top 5 games to watch. At number 5 is the Buffalo Bills at the Carolina Panthers. Now, this game would be a lot higher on the list if Bryce Young was healthy, but unfortunately, he is not, which means Andy Dalton is starting for the Carolina Panthers. And if something happens to Andy Dalton, guess who would start? Hendon Hooker, the quarterback from the University of Tennessee who beat Alabama. I think that was the game where the field goal post ended up in the river. And I thought he was going to be the starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions because I thought Jared Goff was just going to be a bridge quarterback. Look, it shows what and I know, but hey, here we are. Anyway, so in terms of this game, Buffalo, they are coming off of their bye week, but this game is in a really interesting spot. They've lost 2 in a row, and who do they play next week? Oh, just the 3-time Super Bowl champion and Super Bowl MVP, Patrick Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs. So this is a really interesting spot for the Bills. And in terms of the Panthers, they've been playing really well as of late. They won an ugly game last week against the New Jersey Jets in New Jersey, and they are winless. They also beat the Dallas Cowboys on a last-second field goal. Carolina's been playing better lately, and I'm starting to think that maybe Dave Canales was the right hire for them. But we're going to see how they play without Bryce Young today. Like I said, they have Andy Dalton starting at quarterback. I expect them to rely heavily on their run game with Rico Dowdle, who tore it up against the Dallas Cowboys a couple weeks ago, and then alongside Chuba Hubbard. But again, this game comes at an interesting spot for the Bills because they're coming off their bye week. They're at Carolina today, and then they host Kansas City next week. Really interested to see how the Bills play today. Even though Andy Dalton is the starting quarterback, and if he goes down, Hendon Hooker would come in, I'm still going to go with the Carolina Panthers to pull off the victory and send Buffalo to their 3rd straight loss. Yeah, that's right. I'm picking Carolina. I'm actually going to say it right now. I think Carolina is going to make the playoffs this season. I do. At number 4, the Cleveland Browns at the New England Patriots. So, do you know the last time the Cleveland Browns beat the New England Patriots? It was way back in Week 9 of the 2010 season when Colt McCoy was our starting quarterback and Peyton Hillis went absolutely crazy. That was the game that single-handedly got him on the Madden cover. And, well, we haven't heard from Peyton Hillis since. So he is the prime example of the Madden curse. But since then, we lost to the Patriots in 2013, 2016. Of course, the game in 2016 was here in Cleveland, and that was the game where Tom Brady made his return thanks to the Deflategate suspension, which for me, that was basically like a slap on the wrist. Wasn't a real suspension. Whatever. And I truly believe the NFL intentionally made it 4 games after some negotiating with Tom Brady because they knew his first start would be in Cleveland and they wanted to give him an easy opponent. And then we lost to them in 2019 and in 2021. So it's been a while. And for me, Drake May, he's got to be an MVP discussion. He has to. For me, I don't care that Patrick Mahomes is playing as well as he is. I don't. For me, I'm putting Drake May not just top 3, but at number 1 in MVP conversation right now. Number 1. By the way, who am I putting number 2? Daniel Jones. Yeah, that's right. I have Drake May as the leading candidate for MVP. Then I have Daniel Jones. And then at number 3, I've got from the Indianapolis Colts running back Jonathan Taylor. I know Daniel Jones is playing fantastic, but if he didn't have Jonathan Taylor, I don't think the Colts would be in the position they are right now. And they've got a stiff test next week at Pittsburgh. I'll get to the Steelers in a minute. But this is a critical game, really, for both teams. Because you got the Browns, who finally scored more than 17 points in a game, although it was against the Miami Dolphins, so it wasn't that impressive. But we ended up scoring 31. And that was our first game of the season against the AFC East. Today we're playing the Patriots. Then we have a bye week. And then we're at the New Jersey Jets. We host the Buffalo Bills in week 16. So we are currently 1-0 against the AFC East. But, you know, we got Myles Garrett, Mason Graham, Denzel Ward. And our defense is really good. Offense, not so much. And you know we're going to rely heavily on the run game. Quinshon Judkins had an awesome game last week. But again, it was against the Miami Dolphins, so take that with a grain of salt. But still, we're going to see if the Browns can carry that momentum on the road to New England. And on the other side, like I said, Drake May is playing fantastic. As I just said, he is my number 1 in terms of MVP. If I could vote for MVP right now, I would vote for Drake May. No questions asked. And that's saying something because we thought, okay, well, the reign of terror for the New England Patriots is over once Tom Brady left and went to Tampa Bay. And it looked like it was. And yet here they are, 5-2, sitting atop the AFC East. And if I had to make a prediction right now, I think they are going to win this division. I do. Because I think the Patriots win today against the Browns. And I think the Panthers beat the Bills, which allows New England to extend their lead in the AFC East. And here's the other thing. New England already went into Buffalo and beat the Bills on Sunday Night Football. And Buffalo still has to come to Foxborough. Yes, I did. But, so for me, that's advantage New England. At number 3, a game that's kind of under the radar, and I understand why. It's the San Francisco 49ers at the Houston Texans. San Francisco is beaten to all hell and back, and yet they looked like a ferocious defense last week against the Atlanta Falcons, so much so that Michael Penix isn't playing today. And it will be Kirk Cousins. Let's see, what does Grandizer say? Did you bark like a dog today for your dogs beating the Patriots? No, because I don't think the Browns are going to beat the Patriots. I got the Patriots winning a lower scoring game. I know New England put up 31 against the Titans last week, but I'm going to say the Patriots win 23-19. Let's see. Looking good, my guy. Your hair's getting curly like a fro. Yes? I don't know. But in terms of my number 3 game, the San Francisco 49ers at the Houston Texans. Both teams were playing on the West Coast. in prime time. San Francisco, of course, hosted Atlanta on Sunday Night Football. And then the Texans were at Seattle on Monday Night Football. So we'll see how that ties into today's game. But the reason this is my number 3 game is because San Francisco right now, I believe, is 5-2. Let me double check on that. I want to make sure I'm not talking out of my ass. So give me 1 second. Yes, San Francisco is 5-2, while Houston is 2-4. And Houston's offensive line has been like a turnstile. CJ Stroud is just getting destroyed back there. But Houston's defense is certainly no joke. So we'll see who has the advantage, because I truly don't know. San Francisco is going to get after CJ Stroud. Again, they got after Michael Penix, and he's not playing today. That's why Kirk Cousins is starting against the Miami Dolphins. Kirk Cousins is going to have an easy day. He should just hand the ball off to Bijan Robinson most of the day. Bijan's going to end up in the end zone probably 3 or 4 times. Maybe he even gets 5 touchdowns, for God's sakes. I don't know what's going on with the Dolphins. But anyway, my number 2 game to watch. You would think it's good. My number 1 game is actually going to be Packers-Steelers, but it's not. That's my number 2 game. Of course, you got the major storyline of Aaron Rodgers facing his old team. But I think the Steelers have a distinct advantage coming into today's game. But it might not be the advantage you're thinking of. So, no, don't say that. Kirk Cousins is about to... No, he's not. The Titans last week. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Grandizer. But, so the advantage the Steelers have is this. Last week, they played on Thursday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals in the Uncle game. Although Joe Flacco ended up finding his old form and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. But here's the thing. When did the Green Bay Packers play? On Sunday in Arizona against the Cardinals. So they had to fly back from Arizona to get ready to go to Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, the Steelers played on Thursday, which means they had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off, and then they had all of this week to get ready for the Packers. Now, I know NFL teams can make the flight back from an away game to their home state in basically a day. But still, flying back from Arizona to Green Bay, I would give the advantage to the Steelers. Does that mean the Steelers are for sure going to win today? No, but for me, it's an advantage in terms of Pittsburgh. Even if Green Bay got back from Arizona to Wisconsin on later in the night on Sunday and had all of this week, I still say advantage Steelers. But of course, the main story is the fact that Aaron Rodgers is facing his former team. And you also have the factor of this. Who did Aaron Rodgers beat in Super Bowl 45 at AT&T Stadium, a.k.a. Jerry's World, home of the Dallas Cowboys, who haven't been relevant since the early 90s? Who did Aaron Rodgers beat back in Super Bowl 45 that capped off the 2010 season, even though that Super Bowl was played in 2011? Do you remember? That's right. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now he is playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Talk about a full circle moment. I love it. You said the Browns beat the Titans by 31. Oh, I don't remember saying that, but okay. the Packers. Who did they beat? The Browns? No. First of all, we beat the Packers 13-10 back in week 3. I'm never going to let Tom Grossi live that down, especially because he was a guest on my channel. Thanks again, Tom. But no, he beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl 45. And now he's playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I probably would have this game at number 1 if it was being played in Green Bay, but it is not. It is being played in Pittsburgh, so that takes a little bit away from this game. Not much, though. And now for my number 1 game. You have got Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and the Dallas Cowboys, who have a high-flying offense, traveling to a mile high to take on, you might as well call them the Cardiac Broncos, for God's sakes. Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. They scored 33 points in the fourth quarter to come back and beat the New York Giants this past week. And now you have Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, who are coming off of scoring, I believe, 40 points last week against the Commanders. Granted, Jaden Daniels got injured. That's why Commanders-Chiefs is not on my list. Maybe if Jaden was healthy, that game would have made the list. But since he's not, I'm not really planning on watching Commanders-Chiefs anyway. But whatever. But in terms of Cowboys-Broncos, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. And it's going to come down to which defense can make a stop. And here's my other question. Who is Pat Surtain going to match up with? Is he going to match up with CeeDee Lamb, or is he going to match up with George Pickens? And if you double-team CD, guess what? George Pickens has one-on-one coverage on the other side. If you double-team George Pickens, guess what? You're leaving CeeDee Lamb one-on-one. Plus, they have Javonte Williams. Plus, they have Jake Ferguson. And then on the other side, you got Evan Ingram at tight end, Cortland Sutton at wide receiver. Bo Nix can run. I'd like to see Denver. You got RJ Harvey out of the backfield. I believe it's J.K. Dobbins also at running back for the Broncos, if I'm not mistaken. But it'll be interesting to see. Does Denver come out running the ball to keep the Dallas offense on the sideline, which is what I would do? And if I'm Dallas, do I run the ball and make the Denver defense really work? So those are my top 5 games entering week 8. Again, the list is Buffalo at Carolina, Cleveland at New England, San Francisco at Houston, Green Bay at Pittsburgh, and Dallas at Denver. Now, in the final 3 minutes before kickoff, I'm going to give you my top 10 teams entering week 8. At number 10, and just barely making my top 10, the Philadelphia Eagles. They are without A.J. Brown. This is a rematch with the New York Giants, who they lost to in New Jersey on Thursday Night Football just a couple weeks ago. Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterboo went nuts. Of course, that was the game where Brian Daboll went into the medical tent to check on Jackson Dart. But can the Eagles bounce back and get revenge on the Giants? So they're at number 10. At number 9, one of the teams that has beaten the Philadelphia Eagles. They are the Cardiac Broncos, because they love to give their fans heart attacks, I swear to God. Yes, it is the Denver Broncos. I still think they're going to win the AFC West. I know the Kansas City Chiefs are fully healthy, but last week you beat the Las Vegas Raiders. Not that impressive. Although you will see the Chiefs in my top 10 shortly. At number 8, the Seattle Seahawks. I think they are ultimately going to win this division. I think they can go into the SoFi and beat the Rams. I know they are a loss to the 49ers at home to open the season. But I think Seattle can win this division. And if they don't, I think they will still end up in the playoffs. Number 7, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy. You think the dynasty is done after they lost against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and yet here they are, fully healthy. They shut out the Las Vegas Raiders 31-0. But again, it was the Raiders. Geno Smith is on the other side. Not that impressive, but still enough for them to be number 7. At number 6, they had to take a bit of a tumble after that showing in Detroit on Monday Night Football, because I said that the game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football would determine who gets the number 1 seed in the NFC. I know we still have the Week 10 Monday night game between the Eagles and Packers, and we still have a Sunday night game between the Lions and the Eagles, but I felt like the winner of the Buccaneers-Lions game on Monday Night Football in Detroit would go on to be the number 1 seed. Detroit won that game. Mike Evans, unfortunately, suffered the concussion and I believe a broken collarbone, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't know who Baker Mayfield is going to throw the ball to now. And so Tampa Bay had to take a bit of a tumble this week. And I know the games are about kicking off right now, but I'm almost done. Don't worry. I'll let you go watch your football in a minute. At number 5, the team that I think is going to win the AFC East, the New England Patriots. Like I said, I think Drake May is the number 1 candidate for MVP right now. I really like what they're doing with Stephon Diggs and Kayshon Boutte. I would like them to use more of Travion Henderson. I picked him to win Rookie of the Year because I really thought the Patriots would rely heavily on the run, which they have, but they primarily used Ramondre Stevenson. I'd like to see them use Travion Henderson more. And that's what's keeping them from the top 4. At number 4, I've got the Green Bay Packers. We're going to learn a lot about the Packers tonight when they play on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. Can Jordan Love bounce back? Because he's already lost to the Browns on the road. Can he go into Pittsburgh and beat Aaron Rodgers? At number 3, they're without Puka Nacua right now, but it's Matthew Stafford. He lit up the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's the LA Rams. The Rams, I think I think the division comes down to them and the Seahawks. Not trying to write off the 49ers, but I think it comes down to the Rams and the Seahawks. Ultimately, I think Seattle is going to win the division, but right now I give the edge to the Rams. At number 2, the Indianapolis Colts. I can tell you for certain, I did not see this coming from the Colts. I thought they would be the worst team in the AFC. I'm like, okay, they've got Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback. They are going to be terrible. No, they are not. Right now, they're the top team in the AFC. I'm a little bit surprised that next week's game between them and the Steelers is staying at 1 o'clock. I thought it might get flexed into Sunday Night Football, but it would not surprise me if their game in a couple weeks at Kansas City gets flexed into Sunday Night Football. That game very well could determine who ends up with the number 1 seed in the AFC. And at number 1, the Detroit Lions. This team is just firing on all cylinders right now. Jared Goff is playing fantastic. Jahmyr Gibbs went absolutely nuts. David Montgomery and him just make the perfect duo. I love Sonic and Knuckles. And Amon-Ra St. Brown. Woo-wee! If you don't have him as a top 5 wide receiver in the league right now, He is easily a top 5 wide receiver. I would even put him top 3, and I don't care. He is easily a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. It feels like anytime Jared Goff throws the ball to him, oh, it's caught. Oh, it's caught again. Oh, it's caught. In fact, in terms of my top 3 wide receivers, I'm not sure exactly what the order would be, but it would be Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's not exactly the order, but it's those 3. So enjoy your week 8 of football. Oh, by the way, what do you think? Should I make Monty the new mascot for the channel? What do you think? Should Monty be the mascot? His name's Monty because he's a mongoose. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you want Monty to be the mascot and be featured in more videos, I'm happy to include him. If not, that's fine too. But those are my top 5 matchups to watch and my top 10 teams. So enjoy your week 8 action. As of right now, because the Cleveland Browns are on a bye next week, I am planning on doing a live stream for next week's huge game between the Indianapolis Colts and the Pittsburgh Steelers from the Steel City. I will not be at that game, but I want to live stream it. Let me know. Would you tune in for a Colts Steelers live stream here on the Ungar to the Max YouTube channel? No, you need a dog. We're the dog mascot. Amon-Ra. Yes, he is the sun god. For me, the Fox game is Browns Patriots and CBS is Chicago at Baltimore. I did think about putting that game in my top 10, but Lamar Jackson is not playing, so that's why it's not in there. But again, for Ungar to the Max, enjoy your week 8 games. Maybe I'll do this again next week. But as of right now, like I said, I am planning on doing a week 9 live stream. Colts at Steelers. And I will see you next time.